So let's say you were to go back in time 18 months and you're talking to your former self, Phoebe, as she's about to go into year 12. What would you say to her? What would you say in regards to the expectations she should have and things to be wary of in terms of make sure you do this, make sure you try and avoid this? What kind of advice would you give to that former version of yourself?
I would probably say to myself, try your best not to compare your journey to other people's journey. That was something that was so important that I learned throughout my HSC was about, focusing on yourself and staying in your own lane and trying not to look at other people and think that you should be doing more or that they're doing more than you and taking that on as a kind of stressor in your life. I think probably what I would say to myself is just, keep focusing on doing your own thing. You have your own goal. You know what you need to do. It's just about putting your head down and actually focusing on the work. Because I think a lot of what makes the HSC so overwhelming sometimes is the fact that it's not just the academic side of it, the difficulty of the content you're learning, I suppose. It's also the social aspect of it. It's people are always, talking about how much they're studying. People have different study routines, different study hours. It can be really overwhelming, I think, to look around at that and think, oh, I need to be doing 12 hours of study a day if I want to get X mark and get into X course. But probably what I would say to myself is just keep doing what you're doing and just do your own thing. Everyone does the HSC and does life differently. And you just have to figure out what works for you and try not to internalize the expectations of other people and just focus on yourself and really just focus on your own goal.
Yeah, and of course that is advice for all students going into year 12 or any year really. It's great advice generally for approaching a new year of study or anything that has a kind of weight to it with respect to accomplishment and success. And, there is a great saying that came to mind, that comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that if you do start comparing yourself to others, you often just feel dissatisfied. There's always someone doing more. There's always someone doing something different. And that will constantly make you question your own choices and question your worth and, how much have you done to accomplish your goals, etc. So I think, as you say, it is important to kind of stay in your lane, focus on what works for you. But at the same time, I think there is an element of keeping up with what other people are doing and drawing upon their strategies at times that are effective. So I was going to ask, where did you draw the line then? Because it's one thing to kind of not compare yourself to others. And I really like that from the perspective of, results and from the process as well to an extent. But I do think I learned a lot from other students when I was looking at, what are they doing? Oh, that's a more efficient way of doing it. I'm actually going to try that. So where did you draw the line there in terms of being inspired from others and doing your own thing?
That's a good point. I definitely did take inspiration from the people around me. And particularly, I did a lot of research on effective study techniques, particularly around things like active recall when I was trying to really optimize my study schedule in the lead up to trials and HSC. I definitely would just do my own personal research if I was curious as to how other people were approaching HSC studies. I tried to I suppose I looked at the people around me and I obviously tried to emulate some of the things that they did if I thought it was effective. But at the same time, I would just always take that with a grain of salt because I just kind of learned over time that I had kind of a different way of doing things and a different way of just kind of studying and just, managing my own schedule. And that's not going to, those management systems are not going to look the same for everyone else. So if I was, I suppose, comparing myself to other people or taking inspiration from other people, it would often just be my own personal research, just going externally to kind of find new study strategies, listen to the advice of other people who had also state ranked and gotten above 99, but not taking that on so deeply, kind of just taking it on with a grain of salt to just inspire me, not necessarily kind of use that as a reflection on how I'm not doing enough or something like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important to draw upon that, but then obviously to reconcile that with your own preferences and then just be happy doing that. But I think an important caveat though to all of this is, and people are probably thinking this as you say it, is that this assumes that you already have some kind of system, that you actually are motivated to do something. There is a huge cohort of students who are probably like, oh, okay, so I just don't compare myself to others, so I'll just keep doing nothing. And it's like, well, in that case, you actually should really draw upon others. And then to apply your advice here is to see what kind of resonates with you. And you're like, oh, I like this study technique. I like this strategy. I like doing this amount of hours. But you also don't want to kid yourself and think, oh, well, it's, don't compare and it's just my style. My style is to do nothing. there's also that extreme side. So I think it's
all about finding your own balance. Yeah. If you're a naturally disciplined person and you have your kind of your method of approaching HSC studies and that works for you, then you can stick to it. But yeah, I absolutely agree. Like if you have trouble motivating yourself or having that system in place, then taking inspiration and comparing yourself to other people is definitely the best way to go about it.